Today, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the Ageism Group profile on Outback Queensland, with a focus particularly on the findings from the Old is Beautiful project, which was recently completed down the road here from me, about 170 kilometres in Winton. But before I begin, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the Iningdi people, who are the elders of this beautiful land on which I'm coming to you from today, and pay respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander groups throughout Australia. I'd like to acknowledge all attendees and respect their culture and thank them for sharing in the spirit of reconciliation. So to put into context the profile of ageism in Outback Queensland, I'd like to give you a bit of a snapshot of Winton. Winton is a small, iconic town located in central West Queensland on the lands of the Colour people. Winton is known for its rich history, unique landscapes and vibrant local culture. It's located at approximately 1,300 kilometres northwest of Brisbane, and the town is surrounded by vast arid plains, red earth and the distinct spinifex grasses that typifies the Australian outback. Winton has a storied past. It's famously known as the birthplace of Australia's unofficial national anthem, Waltzing Matilda, which was first performed at the North Gregory Hotel in 1895. The town is also associated with the founding of Qantas, which held its first board meeting in Winton over 100 years ago. And not forget, it is the dinosaur capital of Australia, as it boasts the world's largest dinosaur collection. The economy of Winton is driven primarily by sheep and cattle grazing, tourism and opal mining. The town supports several small businesses, accommodation providers and museums that cater to tourists and residents alike. Winton is a very close-knit community with a population of less than 900 people. Locals are known for their warm hospitality, their resilience and a great sense of outback humour, qualities shaped by the environment which they live. The town is a hub for regional events, including an Opal Festival, a country music festival, an annual Winton Outback Festival, and the Vision Splendid Outback Film Festival, which draws visitors from all across the country. And you can see how the locals refer to it as unofficially the town of festivals. Winton has a median age of 46 compared to the national age of 37. The number of older people is increasing at a greater rate than the Queensland or broader Australian population. And the population of people living in Winton make up about 25% in 2021, compared to a national average of about 16%. The statistics show that there are higher rates of violence in rural and remote communities than in capital cities. Older people living in rural and remote communities also have a higher rates of social isolation and loneliness, higher levels of disease and injury, poor health outcomes compared with people living in metropolitan areas. These factors can increase older people's vulnerability to abuse and violence. However, what was particularly interesting was a comment made by one of the oldest beautiful Winton participants, who said, "The kids don't get into any trouble here, because if they do, someone would see them and tell their parents, and that would be the end of that." To me, that sounds like those kids have better neighbourhood watch than the local police. So, when looking at the characteristics of ageism in Winton, including the drivers, the Old is Beautiful Winton report suggested that on an individual level, there was lower levels of internalised ageism in Winton compared with older people in Metro Queensland. When asked for their biological age and subjective age, the average difference was only 6 years, significantly lower than others in metro areas who were also surveyed. This is attributed to the valuing of older people by community members and to the get over it, get on with it attitude required to live in a very remote community. Engaging in physical activity was considered important for healthy ageing. Older individuals residing on properties were occupied with tasks such as fencing, branding, weed control, preparing meals for workers. In contrast, those living in Winton had greater free time and often volunteered for community services, festivals, to stay active. I'd also like to mention the availability and affordability of living and housing in Winton. The affordability can reduce financial stress for older adults and allow them to remain comfortable in their own homes. In regards to family characteristics, rural residents frequently have stronger sense of identity, family connections, and pride in their community. For older adults, the sense of belonging enhances self-worth and security. Familiarity with the local area and its people helps people maintain independence and confidence as they age. In 2021, the census results indicated both parents born in Australia was 48% on a national level, but this was closer to 75% for Winton, indicating a longer connection to country and community. Some stakeholders have also reported some disrespect and violence and abuse in families, including inheritance in patients and financial abuse by adult children, particularly around succession plan and handing over the family business or farm. There's also incidents of family violence triggered by the frustrations of living on the land and a higher opportunity to hide what is happening given the isolation and distance. Community characteristics of ageism in Winton show that being an older person in Winton is reported to be a good thing, with older people noting they feel safe and supported in their community. One of the most significant drivers of positive ageing in rural areas is the presence of strong social networks. In many country towns, neighbours know each other well, and there is a culture of looking out for one another. These connections reduce isolation, improve emotional support, and encourage active community participation. Lower levels of ageism may also be supported by high levels of intergenerational connections. Many rural communities foster close ties across generations. Older adults play a significant role in caring for their grandchildren or mentoring younger people through schools and clubs and sporting teams. These relationships boast social cohesion and provide older people and younger generations with valuable support on learning opportunities. And it creates a feeling that the older person can rely on younger community members for support. A quote from the Old is Beautiful project described, "I don't think it's the same in the city. People don't know each other, and they are too frightened to help. The young people here look after you. They can be the wildest of young fellas, but they will look out for you. Sometimes when I need help, I go into town and find a young fella to help me. When I see boys in the supermarket, I get them to clean my windscreen because I can't reach across. They can be wild, but they will still help." I think that experience is just beautiful and something worth mentioning here today. Also worthy to note, there's been a recent trend across central West Queensland with a movement of in-migration of retirees who have been forced out of metro areas because of the cost of living and inflated rental prices. Many of these residents have found themselves with renewed purpose by joining the local tourism association, helping out with Meals on Wheels, or even finding part-time employment at the local pub. Ageism characteristics in regard to community services. Winton participants reported feeling valued by their local service providers because they were known to each other. Rural communities often rely heavy on volunteers to keep local services and clubs running. Older residents play a vital role in this, sharing their skills and experiences over time. Active engagement through volunteering not only benefits the community, but also gives older people a sense of purpose and achievement. The Valued 60s and Better program includes exercise classes run by a 90-year-old fitness instructor, and this help expands expectations on ageing in positive ways. However, there were reports that accessing services in Brisbane or away may lead to ageism encounters. When looking at a government level, access to services can be challenging in rural areas. Many communities are creative and resourceful in delivering health and social support for older residents. The Ageing in the Outback strategy developed by the Western Queensland Primary Health Network is a regional plan for 2024-2026 to improve healthcare for older people in Western Queensland, including Winton. It is also supported by the Winton Shire Council's own Ageing Well in Winton strategy for 2025-2028, which includes a local unified framework for community and aged care services, focusing on dignity and inclusion. Both strategies are formed by community engagement and aim to address the unique challenges of ageing in remote and rural areas. When we consider the impacts of ageing in Winton, we can look at it in both a positive and negative light. The report indicates that the valuing of older people by the broader community had a positive impact on the experience of ageing. Access to positive ageing role models may boost healthy ageing. However, the get on with it approach to life may be a barrier to some people reaching out for support, particularly in relation to abuse or family violence. How do we respond to ageism in Outback Queensland? Looking at it through supports, there is a need to ensure older people are aware of the supports available to them so they can reach out confidentially. Confidentiality has been identified as being very important in small rural towns, as it often can be compromised. A need for more face-to-face, especially for people that have no computer access. 28.5% of the Winton population reported having no internet, compared to a national level of 14%. Support to remain active in their community in a volunteer capacity. Those that have lost their driver's licence are still encouraged to attend the Meals on Wheels deliveries as a passenger to get out of the house and feel needed. Foster a culture of inclusion and respect by celebrating the contribution of older adults through local media and awards and storytelling events. Winton does this very well from what I've seen by recognising their life members for outstanding long-term contributions they've made. There is an opportunity to increase the support to older people by raising awareness of what works in the valuing of older people to strengthen these approaches. Primary prevention. It may be useful to identify ways of providing information to older people and the broader community about financial abuse by family members. Strategies like the Ageing in Outback and Age Well in Winton are vital but need good implementation and reflection. We could look at building digital capacity, connectivity, as well as more affordable telecommunication options to expand internet access in rural communities. It's positive to note, but that rural and remote communities often demonstrate effective primary prevention of ageism through fostering intergenerational relationships, celebrating the contributions, and maintaining strong community engagement. To preserve and replicate these successful strategies, it's important to continue supporting social initiatives that connect people of all ages, such as local clubs, schools, sporting teams. Encouraging storytelling, community events, and shared stories can further strengthen the bonds and understanding. To wrap up, you can see there's something very special about ageing in Outback Queensland and the positive experience with less internalised ageism among community members. The value of older people in Winton provides an opportunity to learn about what works. A society that values its older people can foster a sense of self-worth among them. This does not imply that ageism is not existent in Winton, but it certainly is not as assertive. And there is an opportunity to focus on what works well here and ensure we don't lose it. Thank you.